Hello and welcome to JUS 4407 Online Global Security. This is the week number 2 lecture on military threats to security from state actors. Here's the agenda. We'll begin with discussing the overall topic for this week. We'll then look at the lecture key points, which are the learning objectives for the week. We'll talk about the deadline for assignments this week. We'll then discuss briefly the weekly discussion board, and then lastly some final thoughts and helpful hints for you to get through this week. This week's topic. This week's topic focuses on the military threats to security from states. For a long time, global security only focused on military threats, but as we have discovered, military threats are just one example. With that said, we will begin with military threats this week and progress to other threats in the upcoming weeks. Here are the lecture key points. The Cold War and decolonization explain the preoccupation of states today with externally focused military security. In other words, the Cold War and decolonization were those two signature events which led us to think more along military lines and military threats in regard to global security. But the Cold War also ushered in a new era of a lessening of military threats, which have enabled us to at least broaden our viewpoint of those types of threats that are not military that impact global security. The resolution of the Cold War and decolonization also brought optimism that a new world order would usher in a more peaceful interstate relation and greater commitment to global security. Unfortunately, this didn't happen as non-state actors began choosing this as an opportunity to go at global security with whether it's cyber threats or other types of threats. But while the military threat lessened after the Cold War, it only brought more attention to those non-military threats, which are also a significant part of global security. So unfortunately, the legacies of the Cold War and decolonization still remain prominent, and many feel the balance of power has brought a new and more destabilizing military threat. Lastly, with the growing spread of democracy and interdependence, there is a renewed hope for the eradication of interstate war, which is becoming less common. So that's a good, one of the good outcomes after the Cold War, the fact that democracy has spread, and there is this sense of a renewed hope of a lessening or eradication of interstate war. Unfortunately, again, other non-military threats have been emerging and have been challenging to those global security practitioners. So with that said, we'll talk about the deadlines for this week. As always, the week begins at 12:01 on a Sunday morning, and then it runs to 11:59 on a Saturday night. So all weekly assignments should be completed by the end of the day on Saturday. Any late assignments will not be accepted. So my thought would be, and my advice would be to, try to get your assignments in early. If you always want to guard against any type of issues with your computer or getting online. So just a helpful hint. The weekly discussion board. Again, this is a completely online class, so our class participation and attendance is monitored and shown through your activity on the weekly discussion board. And once again, to get full credit for the week, you need to provide at least a minimum of 3 responses. One response directly to answering the question that's posted on the weekly discussion board, and then answering and responding to two other classmates. Lastly, and most importantly, is I want you to get used to using references and citations from either the e-text or any external source. So at least using one of those within your response will get you full credit for the week. As always, best of luck for this week. And each week we are together in class. Look forward to reading your weekly discussion boards as always, your responses, as well as your assignments when they're due. And again, a spirited discussion board through the week really enhances our ability to talk about the topics, ask questions, and a real good, nice way to be engaged throughout the semester. Thanks again.